Good morning here, YouTube people. What is going on with you all today? I just saw Natalie. Her and I have a lot of coincidences together. Her dad is from Florida, and her mom is from New York, and my dad is from New York, and my mom is from Florida, so go figure. Anywho, and she's from Jacksonville, and I'm from Miami. Jacksonville is totally north, and Miami is totally south. Boy, I couldn't even spit that out. I don't even know how it came out like that. Anyway, I love that girl. She's so beautiful. She's so nice. She colored her hair red, like fire engine red. But she's on her way to Miami, and I was like, wow. She said, oh yeah, that's right. I forgot that you were born in Miami. I said, yep. Sure was. But I didn't ask her if she was going with anybody. I mean, we're not going out with each other or anything like that, so. But she is a super nice woman. I love her to death, and she knows it. She loves me too. She tells me all the time. But I have many girls that say that around in this area. I am very much loved amongst my peers, and I love them all. So I tell them, with my whole heart. I don't just, I love you, and there's no love at all. I truly love them, and I can feel their love coming from them to me. So I already know what's real and what's not. When it's fake, the energy is so much different. It's even hard to explain it, but it really is different. And I have felt that way before. People, say out of their mouth, I love you, but then I didn't feel the love coming from them. So it has to be more than just words. Words will never do anything, As a matter of fact, in my Father's word itself, it says your words become a double-edged sword, meaning that it can curse and actually it could give you blessings and curses at the same time, even. So this is why we have to be careful with every word we think, say, and act upon. Because if we do, we're looking at judgment. Now, people believe that you can just be judged after your earthly body passes away, but that's not entirely true. Hey. Good, how you doing? Good. Her name is Sharon. She's a really nice person too. There's a lot of nice people in this area. I really love them all. Anyway, to get back with what I was saying, people can just say in words, oh, I love you. Oh, now, I would hope that we could be together in the future. I want to marry you. I want to have your children, or I want you to have my children, or whatever. And it's not really true. It's just a put on. It's a lie. It's people that like to wear masks and play with other people's emotions and affections and stuff like that. I can't really say that I have been that way. There were a couple of instances where because like with me, I truly love everyone, so you can't 100% say that about me. However, did I lead people on at times? Yes, I mean, everybody does that. It's not right. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making it out like it's an okay thing to do, because it's never okay to do that. But that was more so in my younger years, I had to grow up, and I had to understand the difference between what is right and what is wrong, and what is, acceptable in a period of time. There's a lot of things that go on in this generation, and I am so very thankful that I was born in a totally different generation, because this generation today, it totally stinks. And a couple of them before that. As a matter of fact, I think my generation is the actual last one that, of course, every generation has questionable motives and things behind it, but I just think from the millennials down, it's just totally messed up, okay? And, I'm not saying that there are no, what we would call good people between the millennials till right now. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is the generations in all, on a percentage basis of all the, what I would call kids, because even the millennials are kids to me. My kids are born in the millennials, so, of course, they're kids to me, Even somebody that's born, I think, 80? I can't remember. I think it's 80. 65 to 80, I think that's my generation, Generation X. And anything after 80 till, 98, 99, something like that, is millennials. And then after that is Gen Z. They just are so much different than my generation. Talking about my generation. Because starting with the millennials, they stink. On a whole. I'm not talking about every single person that comes from the millennial years, but all in all, on a whole, percentage-wise, they really are not a good generation. Most of them grew up with only one parent, and they were just able to run the streets and do whatever they wanted to do, and the parents didn't really even care about them. And that goes for every country. It's not just in my country. It's all the way around. People are just messed up in this day. And then those people took over and had their own kids and created monsters, because they never got the upbringing that they should have gotten. So all the way around, it just really stinks. And I wish everybody the best, but there's so many people out here that they're just lost. They're so lost out here. Sometimes I sit and I think about it. Why am I living in this time? Because everything really has just gone down, down, and down, you know? And where's the lift up in that? It's okay, you know, like Tony Robbins came from my generation, okay? Actually, I think he's a step up before maybe what baby boomers or whatever they are. Because he's about 5 or 6 years older than me. So, you know, he was definitely born in the generation before mine. But he was a part of, you know, our time. You know, these young people don't even know who the heck Tony Robbins is. Tony Robbins? Who's Tony Robbins? Well, he was the number one influencer all the way through the late 70s, early 80s, into the 90s, you know, and he had a lot of impact on many people. Nowadays, there isn't anybody that stepped up and actually became another Tony Robbins. I mean, people have become influencers, but nothing on the level that Tony Robbins is. And, you know, people are just who they are. You know, they just follow their own tune. Even though it's out of tune, you know, it's like a guitar with only 3 strings on it, you know. It's totally different than what it used to be. If any of you are listening and you're born in the millennial years or Gen Z or whatever, you wouldn't understand. If you were born in my generation or slightly before that, you would understand what I'm talking about, because these generations after mine, which is Generation X, are totally different. Totally 100% different than what they are now. Just so many lost people out here. We just need somebody to stand up and, you know, and teach these kids, because, you know, we're going to hell in a handbag as far as I'm concerned, as far as generations are concerned. And if the kids of today grow up and raise their kids, I just don't know. I just think we're going to totally fall flat on our face, you know. Who wants to have a generation after this one that is totally messed up? People just think they are who they are. You know, okay, for example, let's talk about gay people, okay? There is so much talk about gay. Back when I was young, I'm not naive, okay? I realized there were gay people. More people were in the closet during that time than out in the open. Now it's out in the open, but there's like 80% more people that are, you know, deciding to be gay and that, and they're taught that in the school. You know, it's become an acceptable thing. And once again, it's not just in my country. I'm in the USA. Hey, it's not just my country. It's everywhere. It's like become totally acceptable, and actually, you know, instead of frowned upon, there's a smile upon it. And we go through all lengths and measures just to keep it going. And it shouldn't be that way, you know. I know probably more than half of you have heard this term. God didn't make Adam and Steve. He made Adam and Eve, you know, a man and a woman, not 2 men together, you know. And definitely the same when it comes to women, you know. He didn't make Eve in Sherilyn or something, you know. He made a man and a woman for each other, you know. and it's just totally opposite. I was talking to my sister the other day, and she said my oldest son is gay. Okay, let me go to this point, okay? And I can't blame my ex-wife. However, back when he was like 8 or 9 years old, I can remember her saying out of her mouth, well, before that she was actually saying that he was looking up women's skirts and stuff. All right, so, at a young age, you don't even really know what you're looking at that age, but she was kind of making references to that, okay? But 8 or 9 or 10 years old, she started talking about him being gay. And of course, if you start talking about somebody being gay and that maybe they just accept that as their lifestyle just because you proclaimed it as their life, And I was there. I lived through that, okay? And I remember her saying it. If I had a recorded tape of it, I would definitely let you listen to that because she absolutely said it. And I'm sure she said it many more times after her and I were divorced. But she used to talk like that all the time. Why will you bring that up? And why would you not want to, speak on the rightness, what God wants, and have that person, see what my Father actually wants for you. Not, oh, well, it's free choice, let him do what he wants to do, blah, blah, blah. No, when they're young is when you teach them that. Like I said, I can't point the fingers at my ex-wife on that, but I can say that is what happened. And, it's not just receipts that I can speak of. She told my mother. She told my sister. So it isn't like I'm the only one that ever heard that, okay? And she used to do it when they were young. That's what I'm saying. She just always had this way, My ex-wife, she was like what she called a tomboy, I didn't really even understand what a tomboy was. And a couple of people in the Philippines explained to me that's like a lesbian. So maybe you were screwed up mentally as to what you wanted to decide for. My ex-wife went with guys, and that's fine. But that is what you should do anyway. But you should teach that also. Not just be accepting anything and everything. And that's what I'm talking about in this generation. People, one of the biggest verses for me in the Bible is, spare the rod, spoil the child. So if you don't correctively speak to a child and you just act weak and just, okay, well, little Johnny or little Susie, you could do whatever it is you want to do because that is society today. And we'll just let you do it and we'll let you think it and blah, blah, blah. No. You have a schooling to do when it comes to your children. You have to press towards them what my Father wanted. What He wanted, not what you want. Or not what society wants. It's what you want. I just think that in that sense, it became a weak subject, and now my sister says that he's gay. And it shouldn't be that way, you know. He should have been taught better. He should have been taught by me, but I could not teach him, you know. And like I said, I am not the one that filed divorce. She filed divorce. She put in 45 days of it, and 45 days later, I was divorced. No longer. I washed my hands of that situation. I wanted to be there for my kids, but she decided on her own, because those are my kids. That's what she said. It's like they were possessions of hers. Those are my kids. And we lived up here in Georgia. Well, her family was down in Florida. So as soon as we got a divorce, she sold my house off, and she moved down to Florida, close to her family. Well, those things are selfish acts. Very selfish acts. I don't care who you are. If I have children with you, and let's just say I'm from Tennessee, and you are from Michigan, okay? If we live in Michigan, I'm going to stay in Michigan until my kids become adults. And then when they turn 18 and become adults, and they're on their own and they're able to take care of themselves, that is the time that you leave. Even her father, her dad, my ex-wife's dad, he didn't want to leave her mother until after the youngest one was old enough that she could take care of herself. That's the absolute truth. He told me, I can't tell you how many times, because I was alone together with him many times. He would sit around, he would tell me, you know, I'm miserable with the life that I have now, but I don't want to leave my youngest daughter. But as soon as my youngest daughter has grown up, I'm out of here. He used to say that to me, absolutely. Now, people will say, well, you know, maybe it was because he was in a drunken state or whatever. What I've heard is you become more honest when you're drunk than when you're sober. You're more of a liar when you're sober than when you're drunk. So, I don't know. But I do know that he told me that. And I have to roll with it, okay? But he used to say that. Just so happens he passed away before she got old enough to leave the house, which is a shame, but it's a fact. Nevertheless, that was said, and you know, I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or trigger anybody or hurt anybody's feelings or whatever. I'm just stating facts that I have heard and that I understand to be true. And, you know, that's all I can do. But, yeah, it really is a shame in this day and time. And that's the rant that I want to take at this time. I really don't understand where this whole generation and the millennials, I don't know where they're going to. The parents have become non-parents. Even if the father is no longer in the kid's life, the mother isn't either, you know. It's like the mother decided to leave the kids alone, do what they wanted to do. And the kids basically, you know, they run their own lives, even as kids. So that when they grow up, there's nobody leading. It's just a bunch of followers in this time. And I can see that my father doesn't like it. I can see that. Anyways, I want you to know that I love you. I love you right there. Love yourself. Love my Father God, and by all means love each other, people. Until the next time, love, peace, and soul.